I discovered what I termed the master yod about 25 years ago and was fascinated how it worked with current events. This is Trump's natal yod, and here is where it is now in 2023. We can see that Neptune has gone through the yod point, which is the planet that is dissolving his brand. It's also the planet of incarceration. And now that Saturn is on it, this is where the gavel is going to come down. Pluto has yet to make an appearance, except that it is the opposite its natal position. It might be a hackneyed cliche for me to have assumed that Fani Willis is a Scorpio, because her birth date was not available. But as I was toying with that, I really felt it was too simplistic. But Andre of Astrology Alert did some digging and did find the birth date, and voila, yes, she's a Scorpio. They are secretive to begin with, and they feel they are a power to themselves and don't like to think of planets having anything to do with it. Interestingly, born in 1971, Fani was born when Pluto was at 0 degrees of Libra. Libra is known as the feminine sign, while Aries, its opposite, is masculine. Yes, you say that Libra is a masculine energy in the 4 elements. It is, but in this case we were pairing it with Aries as masculine and Libra its opposite. In the early 70s, Roe v. Wade was put into law, and Billie Jean King beat Bobby Riggs in tennis. And the U.S. Open became the first sports event to give the women the same amount of money as the men. So that was when the power of Pluto energized women. Uranus had gone through the early Libra degrees before it, so it was blazing the trail to break the glass ceiling for women. Because of that, and her doggedness to catch the bad guys, I felt Fani would have Aquarius in her chart, and she has, Moon and Mars. So she doesn't like corruption and flagrant power plays. The Scorpio energy is famous for research delving into the depths. The Sun and Moon are square, indicating that her parents were at odds at her birth. It's like Dad was a conservative and Mom a liberal. These days, Pluto is moving into Aquarius, which is why the corruption is being brought into the light. Eris takes its own glacial time, and it's been in Aries for everyone in life now, and a bunch before. So it's interesting that it is her Chiron wound. Andre has done research on Eris and says it is like Pluto. So I feel this is where the strength and the willpower to persevere on this scenario to stand up to Trump. Saturn and Pallas in Gemini gives her a solid head on her shoulders, gives her that no-nonsense demeanor, grounded, strict, and logical. In her solar chart, the yod point has gone through the 10th career, the 10th house for career, which is her due diligence, and now it is being seen for all she's done. Here we have another Gemini. While DJT, Giuliani are the talkers, as Geminis are, here we have Jack Smith. with Sun and Mercury together. So you'd think that he would be the one to outdo them. But Saturn, sober, disciplined Saturn, with his gavel in hand, is right by Venus. And of all the planets, Venus is you in the chart, even more so than Sun and the Moon. And you'll note that it's right by the yod point. So this tamps down his personality, makes him more sober and deliberate. Next up, Chiron is paired up with Eris. Both Jack and Fani have this in their charts. Chiron does dally for a while, but Eris ain't going to go anywhere. Jack has the moon in Aquarius, and didn't we note that Fani has Aquarius moon too? Even though born 3 years apart, the Aquarius moon combined with Eris and Chiron together, bet that doesn't happen very frequently. And Pluto, embarking on its trek through Aquarius now, will take some time for the yod point to get to natal Pluto. But Jack will have made a name for himself with these trials, and God only knows where that will take him. His natal Pluto is at 22 Virgo, so while the yod point seems close, it really won't get there until 2037. Letitia James was born when Pluto moved into Virgo after spending 2 decades in Leo. And that is where the yod point in 2023 is pointing to now. This is why she is being embroiled in all these power plays and being thrown into the light on the world stage. When she was born, the natal yod was close to Eris, the counterpunch of Pluto. It seems all these prosecutors have Eris in Aries to give them the gumption to go toe-to-toe. Now, everybody has Eris in Aries because it takes 500 years to go through the 12 signs. But they have it in key positions. Those who watch General Hospital can see the energy of Eris in the personality, in the character of Tracy Quartermaine. Not Jane Elliott, the actress, but the character itself. Rude, crusty, nosy, power-driven, she's a force to be reckoned with. The 2023 yod finds Neptune on the natal yod points. When it gets to Eris, will it dissolve Eris power? Right now, Saturn at the midpoint between Pluto and Neptune, as the arrow in the bow, is pushing back at natal Pluto, and those titans don't get along. When Alvin Bragg replaced Cyrus Vance, I thought, he was probably a lightweight. When he refused to continue with an indictment for Trump. But au contraire, this chart is someone who decides what he wants and goes for it. His Libra sun is bumping up to Uranus, which gives him a lot of intelligence, with 2 air signs. Uranus, of course, is the planet for Aquarius, so his Libra has a lot of inventiveness, with ways of making unique paths to follow his truth. Got some Scorpio in there too, in Mercury. He will delve into a case and find what's on the bottom that makes it go. With air signs and Scorpio and water, most times he's placid and logical. But then, when someone triggers his emotional button, he can get on a rant. Jupiter is luck, of course, but it speaks of justice, courtroom, politicians, attorneys, and religion, as well as foreign interests. And continuing around the wheel, here again we have Chiron and Eris. Fani, Jack, and Alvin, born with a few years of each other, with these potent placements. We will see how it plays out in the next few years. The natal composite sun between DJT and Fani Willis finds it at the end of Leo, near Pluto. Before the sun is Uranus, and while we tend to think of it as the higher octave of Mercury for an intellect, in these days, as I'm recording this, war has broken out in Israel. It reminds me that Uranus is also explosions and nitroglycerin and unstable energy. And now Pluto is going to go through Aquarius, Uranus's sign, until 2044. So when the transiting yod point moved in the last few years, it went over Uranus to get this war underway, and it's on their composite sun, moving into Pluto, where the power struggle will continue to build. The natal yod point on the other side is near Eris to butt heads. Now this is a combustible chart. Not only their composite Venus for their heart space is lined up with Saturn and Pluto on either side, not going to have any lost love lost with these two. Chiron's wound is with Jupiter for law and politics, so they probably have gone a few rounds in previous lives. Then, the 2023 yod has recently gone through Mars, and so they can get either's dander up. When Saturn in the sky goes direct and meets up with Neptune, they are going to be close to Aries. That's going to be one big clash. They get close to each other in December of 2025. The composite of Jack Smith and DJT shows the 2023 placements of the yod traveling through the cosmos, moving into Eris, with the yod point squeezed between Saturn and Neptune. Those are planets that dissolve with Neptune and flex proverbial cracking of knuckles with Saturn. Lots of power and magnetism here. The yod point is on Eris in Aries, and on the other side, Uranus and Mars fight together. I surmise that Tricia has had her sights on DJT for some time. There's power in their composite with Sun and Pluto together. A power struggle, no doubt, but Pluto is sex too. They might have a thing for each other. At least one does. Saturn in the 2023 midpoint has gone through the Sun combo with Pluto, And now moving into their Venus, she may wind up wrapping up her case before the others. The composite sun of DJT and Alvin Bragg, while in Leo, has an Aquarian component to it in it that it is right up to Uranus, which is Aquarius's planet. Sudden movement here. In fact, when the master yod point went through Uranus's degree is when they became entangled in each of their individual orbits. Now, in 2023, the point is directed to the sun, and it's on its way to Pluto. Pluto is power. Who will win? The master yod for this composite is in Pisces, triggering Eris, which of course is in Aries. Predominantly is their individual charts as well as this composite.